Yes, I still do makeup. Girl. Okay. Let me explain. Y'all know I'm working on a personal rebrand of my YouTube channel this year, and it is still going to be moving forward in that direction. But I'm not gonna lie, like there's a couple different things that I've been learning and doing differently with my makeup this year specifically, and I kind of wanted to walk out through it together. So let's just do that. If you're new, and if first of all, if you're new and if you're confused, let's get you on board. Okay, first of all, I'm Jackie Ina, and if you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. We're just gonna be sitting down and doing makeup, old school YouTube style, which is really funny because I feel like lately on TikTok, there's been like a resurgence of people being like, we miss YouTube, the YouTube beauty gurus. I'm like, no, y'all don't. Y'all not running up them video numbers though, y'all don't. People just like nostalgia. But I do kind of miss like the sit down style of doing makeup. I just don't want that to be the only thing that people come to my channel for. You know what I mean? All right, what do I do differently with my makeup? First things first, Makeup by Ariel, he made me a believer in brows first again. I used to be a brows first girl, and then I retired, and then I went right back on as soon as I saw the way Makeup by Ariel does makeup. I do have to admit, it does hit. It does hit. But I've been doing it a slightly different way. First, I'm gonna take a little bit of my ABH Brow Freeze. You know, this product, for what it's worth, people either love or hate the ABH Brow Freeze. I really like it, but I think that's because I know how to use it and I know what to do with it. Before we jump into brows, I'm gonna bring y'all in a little closer. Okay. Now that you can see my DNA. Actually, it's so funny because right when I said closer, Iris was like, every time I hear the word closer, I think of that Neo song. So naturally, I had to pull up this because we ain't forgot. So anyways, back to what I was saying about ABH Brow Freeze. Let me tell you something about Brow Freeze. I feel like the longer you let it set and like put it on, don't touch it, let it set, I feel like it works out much better that way. And by the way, if you also don't have disposable spoolies, you can get these on Amazon. I get them in like a pack of 300. Always use a fresh, clean spoolie because this product can be like a little oily. So I feel like if you're just using the same spoolie over and over again, because I know some of y'all don't be cleaning your tools.
You're nasty.
Yeah, you really not gonna like the Brow Freeze. So anyway, I like doing brows first because I just noticed that, oh my God, not me lying on camera. I'm not doing brows first. I'm gonna do half of my brow first. And I'm gonna explain to you why. I brush them all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. And then what I'm gonna do is right around the top, I'm gonna bring all these hairs down so they form an actual shape, boom. And I'm gonna leave it just like that while it's set. So this is the shape that I want my brows to hold. And I usually like to use a super sheer concealer for this next step. But then I started realizing because there's no background next to my brows, I guess for lack of better words, there's not enough contrast. I started noticing that using a sheer concealer, like it's cool on like a no makeup day, but when I'm really trying to like look photograph ready, I actually like a little bit more of a fuller coverage concealer. The difference though is that, you know, back in the day when we was doing the concealer brow, some of us was doing a lot, okay? Some of us doing a lot. This looks less like a concealer brow when you do the concealer first rather than after to clean up the pencils. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? So I'm gonna take a little bit of my NARS, the Soft Matte Complete Concealer. I love this. I like to use this as a stencil first. Now what I'm doing with this concealer is I'm just using this as a stencil to give me a guideline of where I want to put pencil, powder, all that good stuff for the brow. So going right underneath, bow, and then start to blend it downwards because girl, don't nobody brow, you know, like we want to mimic the color of a natural highlight, but like you gotta blend it out. Like nobody's melanin grows in stripes. So I'm gonna take the lighter concealer first and then start to blend that out. You notice I did something that I normally do first, and that is powder my primer. I'm still do that, but I'm gonna get to that later. Okay, so now I'm gonna switch over to something a bit more full coverage. The Kevyn Aucoin concealer. I don't know what the hell they put in this thing, man, but I feel like they not even changing the formula, and somehow, some way, I just rediscovered this concealer and it rebrands itself for me. I love this concealer so much. About once a year, I forget how much I love it, and then I go back to it because it's really good. The shade that I'm gonna use is number 13. It's a little on the yellow side, so I'm gonna use just enough. right over where we put that NARS concealer, I'm just gonna reinforce and double up. And also because this look is gonna be very glam, soft glam, I want there to be a bit more definition in my brow. We're gonna start prepping our eyes for our shadow. For me, when it comes to priming and prepping for eyeshadow, concealer still just does it for me. Like I know they have so many eyeshadow potions and primers, and concealer still just does it for me, child. Now with these brows, IV snatch. But we're not done yet. I'm not gonna do my brows, and I'm gonna give y'all a little secret, something that I kind of found out. When you do your brows after you do your eyeshadow, which under normal circumstances, I wouldn't really like it. But then I recently tried it and I was like, actually, I like the way my brows turned out better. I thought it looked so good. Like, I feel like, oh my God, this is what I've been trying to do to my brows for the longest time. And I don't know if just like the eyeshadow residue, dust, I don't know if that just made the brows set so much more. Also, I feel like filling in my brows after shadow really allows me to like creatively blend as much as I want to. Because when you do your brows first and then do shadow, you're obviously gonna be conscious of the fact that you filled in your brows. So you may not go as like heavy or as sculptural with your shadow, but when you just leave the brows clean, oh baby, I definitely feel like the blend just hits 10 times more. And when you're blending out concealer, it's really important that you go around all the surrounding areas without adding more product, because this just allows it to not look too heavy and too concentrated in one spot. Now, in case you are new here, we do a lot of soft glam, we do a lot of nude, and today I thought it would switch up. So today I'm actually gonna be doing a soft glam look. I know, so unpredictable, I know. Do you know how difficult it is to reinvent all of the natural colors and shades in your own complexion all the time? That's why I think soft glam is so iconic, because there's so many different ways to do it in a way that you probably don't even think of. I've also come to recently really love the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes. I do wish there were some more warmer colors, but today this is the shadow palette that we're gonna be using. First things first, I'm gonna take a flesh tone powder, and I'm gonna show y'all something that I hope to God, please don't nobody in the comments. How come whenever I try to say, like, I've never seen somebody else do this, somebody jumps in the comments talk about, I've been doing that since the 80s. Okay, damn it, well, you didn't have a video camera, nobody knew about it. I'm gonna show y'all a couple techniques on how I get my soft glam to like, not look as ashy as it can go, but because something about soft glam can go from like skin tone shades to ashy very quickly. And I do have to be honest and say, there's still not really that many eyeshadow palettes on the market that have just flesh tones that look like this, but are for dark skin, not light and medium. So anyway, I'm gonna be using this palette, and today I'm gonna show you how to get that look without having to do half of the finessing that I used to have to do. So I'm gonna take my flesh tone, skin tone powder, and I'm just gonna set my eyelid. The only time I really do this step is when I'm wearing mattes. Because if you do this whole setting your eyelid with powder and then you try to like, you know, do the shimmers and stuff, it just completely gets muted and washed out. Normally when it comes to soft glam, I like working from light to dark. Today I'm actually gonna do the opposite to get the colors to punch more. I'm gonna take the darkest brown here. So we're gonna take the dark brown starting at the outer corner, and I'm gonna start sweeping this across my eyelid. It's gonna feel a little counterintuitive because this can get very dark very quick. Actually, already you can kind of see it. But the thing is we really wanna define that eye, and we're gonna soften it out later. And this is pretty much my go-to look. I'll just be tweaking it based on like, you know, the vibe, the color story. But for the most part, this is what I wanna look like every day. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my palette, and now I'm gonna go to this mid-tone brown. This is, you know, what the girls like to call a transition shade. Actually, this is one of my favorites. Like, I really like this color. But here's where the magic happens. I'm gonna take a blending brush, and I'm gonna start right here and start blending literally into my brows. Now, under normal circumstances, I would not blend that high because my brow will have already been filled in, and it would just like muddle everything and ruin all the hard work. And not to be confused with like applying the shadow on my brow. No, I mean pushing it into the brow, like right below where it starts. So now we're gonna move on to the step that was usually the most challenging, at least it was for me, getting the perfect flesh toned, natural colored lid color without it being too ashy or too chalky. Sometimes the colors would be too white based and too light, or they'd be like the perfect color and like difficult to blend. I don't know what it is, girl, but like, it was just always a challenge for me. I am gonna go back to concealer and we're going to cut our crease. This is actually like the most important step because the concealer is basically gonna be sort of like our base color. We're gonna set the scene for what we putting on top of her. It should basically look something like this. It may not be perfect, and if it ain't perfect, neither are you. I don't want to hear nothing about that, okay? Thank you. Okay, now I'm gonna show y'all something that I have been doing for like maybe a year, but I was still perfecting it and tweaking, figuring out how to do this. So I'm gonna take a setting powder, and this is the thing that I was talking about earlier. I don't know if somebody is already doing this, but I'm telling you, ever since I started doing this, I was like, I just figured it out. I just cracked the code. And I have not had any difficulties with soft glam ever since then. I'm gonna take a setting powder. I'm actually gonna take the one from Dermablend. I've been using this setting powder for years. It's in the color Warm Saffron, and it is a warm yellowish gold. I freaking love this powder. And I'm gonna take a damp beauty blender. Please don't have your beauty blender soaked when you do this. You do not want a soaked beauty blender because it will just create patchiness in the makeup. You'll be putting it on and taking it off. You don't want that. But I am gonna take the tip of it. Also those minis, you remember when they came out with those lime green super mini beauty blenders, and then I feel like they just kind of fell off the face of the earth. I don't even know if they still sell those. But that would actually be perfect for the step. I'm gonna take the tip of the beauty blender, and this is about to be my lid color. Now, the only thing is if you really want the cut crease to look perfect, you're gonna have to kind of, you know, disregard that because you are applying a translucent powder in this spot. And because the sponge is so big, you're not gonna really be able to fully see the area that you're applying this to. Look at the color. I know it's messy, but just look at the foundation of what I just created. We're not done though. We're not done. I'm gonna do the same thing to my other eye. And I'm telling y'all, when I started doing this, I was like, this is exactly how I've been trying to get my eyeshadow to look forever. Now, I'm gonna take an actual color. I'm gonna mix these, more of this one, less of the lighter one. I'm gonna use these two. And I'm going to use a loose brush. You don't wanna pack it on. You actually just kind of want to dust it on. And I'm gonna use those two shadows to reinforce where we applied the translucent powder. When I tell you, I've been obsessed with doing my makeup like this because it just looks very red carpet ready and it takes me half the time. So again, I'm just setting everything, and you really don't have to fumble with the shadows too much. That's the great thing about this look. Now we're gonna go back to the dark brown just to reinforce because, you know, the powder kind of may or may not have gone a little overzealous, but that's okay. We're just gonna work and sweep around the same area that we did earlier. Clean it up. Now, when you do a soft glam look like this, sometimes the light color and the dark color needs something in between. So usually what I like to do is take maybe like a burgundy color. Even though there's color in this shade because it is a burgundy, I still feel like because I have dark skin, it feels somewhat like a nude. So in between the light and the dark color, I'm going to press this color in as an enhancer in between these two shades. With this particular look, there is definitely a little bit of back and forth. So you're gonna put one color on and then refresh the other one. And then you're gonna go back to the other color and refresh the other one. I'm gonna be doing a little bit of that. I'm gonna be doing a little bit of that because, you know, greatness takes time. Now, hopefully, do you see the difference between like this eye and this eye? Like, do you see how that burgundy just kind of like really adds a little and more definition and more depth to the look, you know? Now I'm gonna add a little bit more, and then I'm gonna sweep our lid color back on again, just to make sure we don't lose sight of what we had. We had something good. You know, it's funny because like when they first launched this palette, if you know, you know. I did a review on Makeup by Mario's brand when this first came out, and I thought the palette was cool, but like it wasn't like a must-have. Now I absolutely think it's a must-have. I've really been enjoying using this palette this year more than ever. Now already I'm loving the way that this looks, but we still need just a little bit of enhancement. Black always goes last. Not in life though, not people. Talking about eyeshadow. Because black is just like so dark that like once you put it on, there's no turning back. So you just wanna make sure you're very careful with how you place it, where you put it, and where you don't put it. So we're gonna finally go into the black from this palette, which is this shade right there. And I'm really gonna concentrate that black on really like my outer V area. I'm not gonna bring it too far in because I'm also going to be doing eyeliner and all that good stuff. And I just want the look to have like depth. So I want you to see like burgundy and mid-tone brown in the center. I want this area to look the brightest. And then I want it to progressively get darker on the outside. Now I'm going to apply liner. I still flick upwards a bit, but when I draw in, I'm gonna do a dead straight line. Don't follow the top line. Follow a straight line across. So the line at the top is completely horizontal, whereas my bottom line is flicked upwards. This is a super easy lifting technique. As opposed to flicking both and like following the direction of the bottom line, I just feel like this actually lifts more and creates more width. And also sometimes I do this exact same technique in the same shape with just the shadow and not liner. But I never just leave the liner on its own. I reinforce it with shadow. So I'm gonna take black shadow and angle brush and I'm gonna reinforce, starting at the bottom line, tracing that line outward, and then doing the exact same on the top. When we get to the top, I definitely like it to look softer and smudgied. I think that looks really stunning and complementary to most soft glam eyeshadow looks is when you stamp it with shadow and just kind of rough up that perfect line a little bit so that it looks like the liner was the shadow and not just the black liner, if that makes sense. And I think it looks stunning in pictures and it kind of creates this like old Hollywood glam type of vibe. Some people like doing this step with tape and I honestly think it looks great, but I can never get the tape to match. Every single time I take the damn tape off, one eye is higher than the other, one eye is crip walking. It just be doing way too much. So I just learned how to get really good at freehanding, but you can also pretty much mimic this same look by adding the tape to the bottom of your eye so that you can like ensure a real straight line. Now, what I like to do right above the black shadow is take a dark brown and we're applying the shadow right above the black. We never go in with like one color anymore. Everything gotta be a gradient because it photographs better. And in my opinion, it like enhances the look overall. So yeah, brown goes right over the black to reinforce. And then without adding any more product, I'm gonna go back to my blending brush and just again, make sure these two areas are blended nicely. I do wanna add just a little bit more right here. You know what, hell, I'm gonna even add the brown next door. I'm gonna add, yeah, you too, you get in here too. More dimension, more just stuff to make the eye look pretty. I'm pretty much done with the eye. I'm just applying lash glue on my lashes. This is like my recently rediscovered favorite. It's from Kiss Girl, like the V-Lex line. I don't know why I stray away from this line. The V-Lex line by Kiss I Envy are so good. And the lash I'm using is Real Amore. I think a flare lash hits even more because when you apply your lashes, you never wanna actually follow your eye shape, at least not in the outer corner. For the inner corner, you definitely wanna get it close to the lash line. But for the outer corner, you actually wanna slightly lift the band up. So it's actually sitting on your skin and not your lash line. But girl, don't get too carried away now. Okay, so I'm gonna do the other eye and I don't know if y'all can see, lift, regular. You don't always have to do this with every eye look, but definitely when I want a more sultrier kind of vibe. Now, one thing that I definitely think you definitely need to be doing when you apply false lash is taking black shadow right on the lash band and just stamping it in. I'm not really trying to line my eyes per se, just camouflaging. Now, the old me would take like a Diamond Lights finisher and just like sprinkle it on my lid, but we're not doing that today. We're gonna keep it matte. I'm gonna go ahead and do brows. And this has become my new favorite step after shadow because I just feel like everything glides on the eye so much prettier. And it's almost like the equivalent of like powdering the brow before applying the product. So first, I'm gonna take my ABH brow book and I use the shade Ebony, the darker one. So just for like the outline of my brow and really like the tail of my brow, I'm gonna be applying that color. I also really like the number 12. This is also from ABH, the number 12 brush. It's really, really fine. So I can really get a sharp, super defined brow. And notice how like my brows never move. Like they never move, they stay in place. Now I'm gonna trace the top of my brow and then start filling in the tail, just the tail though. I'm not gonna use this color for the rest of my brow. I am, however, gonna apply this color along the top as an outline. Fill it in, fill it in, fill it in. This ain't gonna be our one color, in case you haven't noticed. I definitely have become a huge believer in using like 3 colors for the brows. When I tell you I love me some brow powder, I just feel like you get so much more control, so much more depth. Just be looking so good. When you're using brow powder, it's not really good to like dip your brush back in right after touching your brows because there's pomade on them. And that pomade, because there's like a setting gel on them and that setting gel has oil in it. And so I really kind of have ruined some of my brow powders by going back and forth. So what I always do is before I go back in with that brush, I just give it a quick wipe on the paper towel so that it's not, you know, getting all oily and gunky. Because then it, over time, if you do that too many times, it just gets really hard and you cannot, like, you literally just ruin the whole powder. You can't even use it anymore. It's got brow freeze in it. It don't move.
It don't move.
Who says that?
That hair lady, the Gorilla Glue lady.
Okay.
Actually, funny enough, she was just on my Explore page.
Stop eating crab legs. How would you feel if somebody cracked your legs open and ate your insides? I feel good.
She posted that. Shout out to you, sis. You're doing your thing. I ain't even go, hey. Okay, so we're gonna go from let me conduct myself. I'm gonna go to Ebony and then I'm now gonna switch to the light color. That's gonna be like the rest of the foundation of the brow, is that lighter brown color. I'm gonna fill in all of the middle and fill it into the tail as well, but like really concentrating the color like for the whole base of the brow. If you like a gradient, like multi-dimensional looking brow, this book is amazing. I wish there was a way to customize this though, because honestly, like, I just feel like the brows be looking so good when you switch up the color and like almost create that faux gradient effect. I think it looks so pretty. And I'll be getting precise now. Like sometimes if I really want my brows to be dark, because I've come to realize I really like when my brows are dark. Like, let me not say too dark. I like it when they're fully filled in. Like I don't want to see no gaps. I want to see no holes. I want to see none of that. Sometimes I'll brush them downwards and then fill them in and then put them back up, but I'm not gonna do that. Pretty. I'm gonna fill in like the head of my brow. I think today I'm gonna use chocolate. That one right there. I don't use the reddish shade on the light. Sometimes I do, but like not today. I love stamping and stipple. Stamp, stipple, stamp, stipple, stamp, stipple, stamp, stipple, 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 stipple. We want there to be like fluidity in the brow. You don't want it to all be filled in the same way, with the same color, with the same technique, with the same hold, the same pressure. No! Press, boom, press, boom, boom, boom. It's almost like creating like little dashes. And this definitely takes a little practice because sometimes it doesn't really look natural. So just, you know, play around with it. I'm done with brows for now. I'm gonna finally powder my primer, finally. And as usual, I'm still alive and kicking with Laura Mercier translucent powder because why mess up? I forgot to color correct. It's okay though, it's translucent powder. It moves. Now, I'm gonna color correct. Because you wanna color correct, because you wanna set this with powder anyway, so I do this first. And this is gonna ensure that the darker half of the bottom of my face doesn't look too drastically different from the rest of my foundation. But yeah, if you have a color difference in your face and the bottom half of your face is a little bit slightly darker, then color correct. Now, we're finally going to set the primer and the color corrector with powder. And it has to be. I'm sorry, it just does not hit the same doing this with brush. I just don't think it does, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. And I'm especially get that forward. You know, because those. Now we're gonna start moving into under eye concealer. I live for a full, and I always color correct under my eyes, by the way, but I live for like a full coverage concealer as a color corrector, because then everything that I put on top, I ain't gotta add that much more of it. Back to Kevyn Aucoin, it's shade 14, and I'm just gonna concentrate that concealer basically directly under eye, but I'm also gonna utilize this to sharpen out the bottom line from the shadow. I have like deep set under eyes, both like on top of my lid and also under. So I really rely on color corrector as like a under eye filler. If you can find you a full coverage concealer like the one from Kevyn Aucoin that can also color correct, oh my God, it'll save you a world of time trying to build coverage with under eye concealer. And then also I'm gonna focus on whatever's left over on my sponge, taking that in my innermost corner, because I have slightly darkened hollow inner corner. That's why I'm always wearing an inner corner highlight, by the way, to like, you know, retract light so it doesn't look so sunken in. I'm obsessed with this NYX Cosmetics Bear With Me concealer, even for like full coverage looks, because like I said, I've already color corrected under eye with a full coverage concealer, which means whatever I put on top, I ain't gotta do that much work. The shade that I use, by the way, is Deep Golden. When you highlight your under eye concealer, try to get into the practice of underpainting. So work backwards with the way you highlight. Take a really light concealer shade. This is from Pat McGrath. It's the shade M18. Definitely not my color, but I applied this first and I really focus it in like the inner corner, because again, this is where like I have that deep set heavy under eye. So you want to use this as like a little camouflager, you know? But I'm going to also apply it towards the outer corner, but I'm not gonna apply as much. I'm gonna thin that line out. We're gonna take this concealer and blend it out, concentrating it mainly in the inner eye, but we're not gonna stop here. We're still gonna apply like a darker, more close to my skin tone color. Oh, I forgot to highlight my chin. This is a real light color, so I'm not really gonna apply too much color there, and I'm also not gonna apply too much on my forehead because I really just wanna control it, you know? I'm pretty sure this is called spotlighting, because you don't wanna really like, I don't like the way that it looks when you do this on top as like a last step. I actually like doing this with underpainting because I just feel like it looks so much less clockable, in my opinion. This Huda Beauty concealer, I'm not gonna lie, like I loved it when I first tried it, but like this formula is really good. It's her new hashtag faux filter concealer, and the color that I use is Peanut Butter 6.7R, and I'm gonna apply that color here. Not as much in the inner corner as I did with the lighter color, but also I'm still gonna take it outward just a little bit, as well as applying it on my chin, above my cupid's bow, my forehead now, because you know I get to build my own face shape with a wig line, and then also highlight my nose bridge. I always blend the under eyes last to really allow it to like set in, not move around as much, and to really get maximum coverage out of it. One thing that I love about my makeup technique is that it's photo ready and it looks nice in person. I like when my makeup looks nice in person, because there are definitely some makeup techniques that don't look as in-person friendly, and I kind of need like a little bit more versatility for my makeup personally. I'm gonna take a clean brush. I still haven't blended out my nose highlight, but we're gonna do that now. And I actually like doing it with a clean brush instead of adding product, because one, I don't really like the way nose contour looks on me, but also two, this just gives you a little bit more control. So I'm just taking a clean brush, there's no product on it. I will, however, switch to my Danessa Myricks. I'm obsessed with this product. I've been using it for years, pretty much since they first came out. It's her bronzing cream in the shade Deep 2. Obviously, we've been through a lot. I'm just gonna take the smallest amount of that product, because it is a bit on the darker side, and start blending into my brows. And this is exactly what I was saying, that I'm not done, because this is always the final step of my brow. Now, finally, I'm gonna actually add pencil. I'm just gonna trace, I'm just gonna fill in. I'm already happy with like how the middle and the inside of my brow looks, so I'm just gonna reinforce the outline with my brow pencil. Jackie from 3 or 4 years ago could not imagine fully shaping a brow with just powder, but now it's my absolute favorite technique because it just looks so good. I'm still not done with the eyes. I'm gonna take a highlight color, this 3rd shade here, and I'm gonna use a fluffy brush. This is a bit on the lighter side, so you don't wanna pack this color on too much. I'm gonna give it like 1 or 2 stamps, like super fast, and just graze over my brow bone to finish that area and set it. Putting too much of this on my complexion sometimes will look a little too ashy, so that's why I just like to brush. I just like to graze. I just like to kiss.
Can I kiss you?
Sure.
For foundation, I love this foundation. I am obsessed with this foundation. And I'm also starting to fall more and more in love with formulas like this one. It's the Very Valentino Light Lasting Perfecting Foundation. I really, really like the coverage. I like the long wearability of it. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of that on my same NYX Cosmetics brush, one I've been using for years, and set it with a little bit of the, this is a new one by the way, the Plump Finish Setting Spray. The way I ran out of the setting spray when I was doing my makeup 2 days ago, I never ran downstairs to grab a new one so fast. I was so mad because I really thought I ran out for real, for real. Now, we don't want to cover, that was too much foundation, I'm not gonna lie, that was a bit much. So I'm just gonna put the rest on the other side. I don't want to cover the concealer. I'm gonna work around it, and I'm gonna add just enough foundation to show that we added coverage, but I really kind of already did the work with the concealer. And also we still gotta cover up like the orange area, so make sure you use the foundation and do that as well. So as you can see, I did not even have to add that much product. I totally forgot to add my bronzer on the rest of my face, so I'm so sorry, Vanessa. We're gonna go back to this and lightly apply a bit of that bronzer. I really, really like this bronzer. But normally I've been into the vibe of using a bronzer that's like slightly closer to my skin tone. I just feel like it really does what a true bronzer is supposed to be. So with that said, I would actually, under normal circumstances, use a shade slightly lighter than this, but I still like it. It's nice. It just definitely does a bit more sculpting when really it should be adding like overall warmth and color to the skin. I'm gonna go into my Minted bronzer. This is now a powder bronzer. The shade that I use is Yacht Life. And I'm gonna go all over those areas. Again, everywhere I apply bronzer, I'm gonna go right on top of the powder equivalent and reinforce. And I have not set my makeup yet, but we're gonna get there. I just feel like it looks so much prettier and it shows a lot better on like the creamy formula of the foundation. Now we're gonna set the face, and I'm really excited to show you guys this tip. What we did with our concealer, we're gonna do the equivalent with a translucent powder, but we're gonna do 2 things. First, I'm gonna take a very light powder, a translucent, you know, wink, wink, that's what they love calling it. This is actually the one size. I am obsessed with this formula. I love this powder so much. But what I actually do is I mix the deep dark shade and translucent together, so I never use the translucent at all. Now, normally this would be like my final step with, oh my God, blush. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. We gotta do blush. Sorry, guys, like we just have to, I'm so sorry. Like, you already know what time it is. You already know. The shade that I'm using is Grace from Rare Beauty. I only use the matte ones because they have like shimmer ones and they're cool and everything, but like, I just don't really care about shimmer blush. Does anybody care about shimmer blush? Actually, I lie. I do like shimmer blush. I'm lying. I'm not lying so much on camera. I'm not gonna lie, if you're like a pink girl, you have to do the cream or liquid blush first to really get it to reinforce so that it just doesn't look too stark difference to your skin tone. And also this allows the blush to last a lot longer. Okay, so I've applied my cream blush. Now I'm gonna go in with my highlight. Do this first. If you do this last, like trying to use a translucent powder as like a last step to really get the highlight to show and to pop, it does, in my opinion, usually photograph kind of gray, kind of ashy. So I'm almost gonna kind of like underpaint, but I'm gonna do it with powder. So I'm gonna take a little light layer of this. And funny enough, I actually saw Painted by Spencer do pretty much the exact same thing. And I'm gonna just stamp. I'm not baking. I'm just applying this to set everything so that it stops moving around. And also we want to blur. We want to get that nice blur. Oh my God, this powder is unreal. Just, it's stunning. I'm also going to stamp that into my chin and the center of my forehead. This looks so much more natural and more complimentary and more like a proper true brown gore highlight when you set it with like translucent, like a mid-tone powder color first, then put yellow on top. If you go straight in with yellow, all you're gonna see is yellow. And then you know that look, you know what I'm talking about in the early 2000s when we had a little bit of too much fun. I'm gonna really heavily concentrate the powder closer to the center of my face. I'm gonna start letting up. The higher up I go and applying less powder there. We first have to give the concealer something to stick to. And this is why I really, really love this technique, because it's not just sticking to the yellow. It's sticking to like a combination of like your skin tone, some translucent powder, a little bit of like a honey buttery yellow. We're gonna come back to this because we're gonna be doing some reverse contouring. So just you be on standby, don't go nowhere. I'm gonna set all over my face with the one size powder, but now I'm gonna use the skin tone shade, the dark brown, which looks like this, and this is unaltered and unchanged. I did not add anything to it. It's not mixed with anything. And I'm also going to set with the powder foundation. The shade that I use is 4G. I love this color and I love this combination. Basically, I'm gonna take a powder puff and stamp that into the powder foundation first. And then I'm gonna put translucent powder on top and really concentrate it towards the center of my face, because I get like smile lines and also I get like the most separation here. You know, you're talking, you're eating, you're laughing, hopefully laughing. As I get to the outside of my face, I'm like applying less powder. I also just realized I forgot to highlight my nose with powder. We gotta do that as well. And I prefer to do this with the yellow powder. And even though it does start off looking messy, that's fine, because I'm gonna take the clean blending brush and just straighten it out. Now that I've set the rest of my face, I'm going to reverse contour. This is what you wanna do when you wanna like highlight your cheekbones, but you're kind of doing it in the opposite way. Instead of relying just on the contour color, you're gonna use a light color. You're gonna apply this around where you would have put the contour or the bronzer. I'm gonna trace the outline of my cheekbones, just like that. Y'all already know that though. Y'all, the thing is, people who watch my videos already know how to do makeup, and that's why I don't really be doing makeup anymore. But also at the same time, I gotta give it up for the newbies. It's fine. If you're just learning, it's fine. We're glad you're here. Now we're gonna proceed to, do I wanna finish my eyes? Yeah, I'm gonna finish my eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and finish my eyes. I'm gonna do this like real quick, because this is not the important part. The important part really is the blush. But anyway, I am finishing my eyes. I'm taking like my skin tone color and I'm just smoking my bottom lash line. I get like real sloppy with this because I actually like it to go quite low because I just think it looks prettier. And then my inner corner highlight, just a combination of like these two, because this color is way, way, way too light and too white for the inner corner. So I mix them both. Then I add my super signature, very well loved for this particular look, especially beige eyeliner to the waterline. I love this. Like, I honestly, sometimes when I forget to do this, I genuinely feel naked. I feel like it's the equivalent of forgetting mascara. Like, just go, take me home, take me to Walgreens. Take me to Walgreens and let me find something, please. I actually just feel like this look does not feel complete. Even if it's not, it don't even necessarily gotta be beige liner. Like, it just needs something in the waterline, because all the shades and the tones in this look are so neutral and so muted that like if there's liner missing in your waterline, to me it just looks even more noticeable. Okay, back to bronzing, but we're not actually adding bronzer. We're just gonna start sweeping along the jawline because we wanna start getting rid of this powder. She's been set long enough. And notice how I never applied blush, and this is still sitting here. It's because I'm not done, and I'm about to put on like 5. But before I do that, I always take an orange, like a deeper orange. This one's from Marina Botte. Just a little bit, I'm gonna dab some of it off and apply this in between where my highlight is in the middle and where my bronzer is on the outside. I apply this orange around these two colors. I just really, really like the way that this adds the perfect warmth and color correction to my overall complexion. It's like color correcting for your bronzer. I also take that same orange along my bottom lash line, just a kiss of it. Also, I'm gonna still take that blush again into my crease in my eyes as like a finisher. Add a little last final step of warmth. These are like things that like you don't really see until you take a picture. You're like, okay, what is that doing? Like, don't see the difference, Jackie, but I promise you, makeup is an illusion, y'all. And sometimes the things that you don't really see be the stuff that pops the most. All right, blush time. I'm gonna use like 3 because we used the cream liquid earlier. Now I'm gonna take 2 powder blushes. One I've actually been using a lot more of. It's really pretty. It's a Jouer Blush Duo. The shade that I'm gonna use is, I think the darker one Seducing. This one. I'm obsessed. This is like Jackie in a blush, and I'm not gonna lie, I put on a lot of blush. I really do. This is a part of the look that I wanna see stand out whenever I take a picture, or just in general, because I like my cheekbones. And that's what blush is supposed to do, is enhance our cheekbones. I'm gonna sweep off the powder off of my nose without adding more product. And I love, 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 like cannot tell you how much I love this blush. It is from NARS, and it's, don't ask me how to say his name. Here, just read it, okay? I'm not about to play with y'all. You really think I know how to read that? Of course the hell I don't. But it's pretty. It's a super bright fuchsia. For the most part, on dark skin, these colors, although they will show up bright on my skin tone, it's not as like polarizing as you would expect to see it in the pan. So I actually like to use this as like a final step, you know, just to really reinforce all of the pink that we're using. We do have to set. Back to our setting spray. Also, you know, I think spraying my face directly, I actually like when the mist falls on my face because then the makeup doesn't separate, you know, you don't have to worry. You don't gotta worry about like messing it up. Now, old habits never die hard and some things never change. I am always filling in my beauty bowl, damn it, because I worked for it and I earned it. I'm just gonna take a little bit of black liner and reinforce that. And then I'm gonna apply my mascara. This mascara, by the way, I use a lot of Valentino Beauty, as you can see, just look at the cap. This mascara is so bomb. Oh my God, I love it. I love it on my bare lashes. I also love it for falsies. It's dark, it's thick, it's clumpy, just how I like it. If you hold the mascara on vertically and apply the mascara with the falsies already on, it makes blending them together so much easier. This small little tweak for me is sort of a game changer because my eyelashes curl so much that like you can see the difference. Even when I'm not wearing mascara, you can see the difference between my natural lashes and the falsies. And sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, it does not look that good. Like it's all fun and games to have long lashes until you trying to like look cute and you're struggling. And for bottom lash, keep it really, really to a minimum because I really wanna see my work. I'm gonna line my lips with Chestnut. I've recently become a MAC Chestnut girl again because everybody named Mama Love discontinuing all the real good dark brown liners. So I just go back to what I know, and MAC Chestnut has never really failed me. So I just started using it again. I'll just take like a little eyeshadow brush, something flat, you know, something that'll really let me get in there and smoke and smudge this out. They should do like a chestnut collection, like bronzers inspired by chestnut. That'd be so fire. For the overall look, I'm gonna actually use a new gloss. This is Made in Lane, also from Jouer. Usually I use like a NYX Cosmetics Butter Gloss, but I just recently ordered these and I thought this color was gonna be fire. So I guess we're gonna find out together, I guess. Oh, yes. Oh my God, that's like the perfect. Oh, I was like, wait a minute. This isn't how it smells. I'm so sad. This is the perfect mocha latte color. Ooh, might be my new everyday soft glam lip. Cause me and Dose of Colors Macchiato were like joined at the hip. Everybody and Mama's been talking about this lip gloss from Dior. Not this one, it's #1 gold, I think. The one that I have is 629 mirrored. I've been using this gloss for years. They are worth the hype, 100%. You don't even have to get the one that's viral on TikTok right now as we speak. All of them are fire. Just trust me on this one. However, the one that has been going viral is not a brush tip applicator, it's a sponge tip applicator. And then I went to the Dior website and I don't see none of the brush tip applicator glosses on there no more. So like, did we discontinue them, Dior? But anyway, if you like a little sparkle on your lips, this is such a beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous brown girl nude. That's the rest of the makeup look. We're done, we're photo ready. This for me is just like the easiest way. This is like my signature. You know, when they say makeup changes in your 30s, it's true. You figure out a signature and you're like, all right, I've experimented enough. Like, this is how I want to look for the rest of my life. Like, casket ready. Okay, let me not speak too soon. I'm just saying. But like, when you know, you just know. And this is like, when you think of Jackie, I want you to think of this look. Yes, including the bundles. All right, guys, well, that was it today. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me. I'm not gonna lie, I miss just doing like old school sit down. And every so often I'll pop in and do videos like these. Probably not as often as we used to, or if we do, I'm gonna tread lightly. I'm gonna see how y'all respond to this one, and then, you know, we'll go from there. Also, I've been itching, I'm not gonna lie. I do kind of also miss reviews, so if there's anything you need an opinion on, please let me know in the comments down below. Or anything that I can keep my eyes on, you know, just because I have ideas, but I also want to know what you guys want to see as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you learned something new or if this video was helpful, please let me know in the comments, because it always, of course, supports this channel. And I hope to see you guys on the next video. Speaking of next video, you don't have to wait for a new one. Just watch one of the archives if you haven't already, and give your girl some more likes, because we would appreciate it. By the way, I didn't tell y'all the scent of the day is Holly Berry from my Opry City collection from Forever Mood. If you don't know, I have a home fragrance brand. It's kind of freaking epic. And Holly Berry is Christmas and a candle. It's juicy. It smells like mistletoe. It's like literally the under the mistletoe scent. So cheers if you're into me talking about the scent of the day. Don't forget where you can follow me. Instagram, Lavishy Jackie, all that good. I'm doing 12 days of Christmas this year. Forever Mood is also doing 12 days of Christmas giveaway. So make sure you follow us over there, and I'll see you guys at the next video. Bye.